Ladies and gentlemen, we have to launch an offensive against the fraud, the lie, the hoax that the official 9/11 fable is. I keep repeating this. 6 of the 10 commission members and 2 of the 5 council said it was a fraud, a lie, a criminal cover-up. There should be a criminal investigation, not just a new investigation. Obama's expanding the wars, the wiretapping, the torture, the secret police, and I'm sick of it, and so is Charlie Sheen, and I know you are. And so Charlie Sheen's going public. A bunch of other public people went public in the year or so after he went public. It energized 9/11 Truth. 9/11 Truth just kept on chugging after Obama got in. But the establishment, as I predicted, I know their mind, came back in after Bush was gone, believing that now it was depoliticized and they could kind of rewrite history and attack 9/11 Truth. They're doing it with all these new TV shows coming out. They got a couple of them have already aired this year, more airing in the next month. They are trying to attack us, but more and more evidence. Sybil Evans, the FBI translator, comes out, breaks her federal gag order. That's in his 20 minutes to the president, and says that the CIA was running al-Qaeda and Taliban right up until the day of 9/11. That is huge bombshell news. She told the 9/11 Commission that, and they wanted to go public. We're told to shut up. That's why they came out and said it was a fraud. You realize how hardcore this is? You realize how serious this is? You realize how real this is? You know, I also want to ask the listeners, what are your ideas to get 20 minutes with the president out? And the article titled, Charlie Sheen Requests Meeting with Obama Over 9/11 Cover-Up. That's the whole point of him going public with a meeting with the president, with a fiction meeting he wrote up, saying, I want to have a real meeting and I want to present him with this evidence and this bibliography. Please, ladies and gentlemen, I launched 9/11 Truth. The day of the attacks, I went on air and I said, we've got to expose this fraud. And all these other people that later became prominent 9/11 folks got mad at me, attacked me, I remember. But it's my job to hit the barbed wire. We talked about it 2 months before it happened. But when the event took place, we came out, we exposed it. I took the heat. And I lost about 70% of the radio stations I was on at the time. That was kind of at the end of the Bill Clinton days, and I had just started to bash Bush. Before I was depoliticizing and just saying he was a puppet, but I mean, a lot of people say, oh, I'd stand up, oh, I'd tell the truth. Well, I'm somebody that did and lost 7 out of 10 stations I was on. Over the years, I built back up more stations and got bigger than I even was at the time. But I've taken a lot of hits for this because the truth's all that matters. Charlie Sheen's somebody who gets $500,000 an episode and 2 or 3 times that on syndication. With all these 7, 8 years of a show, what is it, in the 8th year now? Re-airing everywhere. He's got a lot at stake here. He's got a lot of courage. And we've got to stand with him in what he's done against the COINTELPRO, against the disinfo, against the spins, against everybody. And I want to put a challenge out to people, even if you don't like me personally, for whatever slights over the years or people in our community, at least stand behind Charlie Sheen and 9/11 Truth and realize how important this is to everybody, because we have no future if we don't turn the corner on this. Now, I want to go to Donna, Mike, Chris, John, and others. Toll-free number to join us, 1-800-259-9231. What are your ideas of ways to get 9/11 Truth out? What are your ideas of making it a big political issue and making it an issue? We have that power now to go into the town halls, to go into the city councils, to go into talk radio, to call in, to make websites. And this is the best 16 pages of material I've seen with the 20 bullet points in here. In fact, let me just read the 20. Well, you know what? I'll read the 20 bullet points after I take some calls and cover some economic news. We'll do this at 8 after start of the next hour. I'm not a news reader. I don't like reading long things on here. I'm kind of looking at it like a big garage I've got to clean out or something. You know, your garage, it's full of junk over 5 years. I'm like, God, to read this on air. But I'm going to cover it because it's key info. The point is I can half-ass read it. I want to focus and read it good, which I'm capable of, but it takes a lot of energy for me to do that. So that's coming up. Let's go ahead and talk to John. Disagrees, so I'll go to the head of the line with him, but I'm going to try to be quick with the caller, so have your point ready. John, I don't know what you're calling about, but you disagree about something. Go ahead.
Yes, I've always agreed, and you know that I do, that you've been on the cutting edge of exposing the 9/11 inside job, and I totally support Charlie Sheen. But I really can't recommend your program anymore. I try to find others who bring up the same things you do, but like globalresearch.ca.
Yeah, listen. I link to their stories. We have them on. They're nice folks. But I'm not going to have you come on and say I'm a piece of crap and then recommend a bunch of other stuff. See, I understand. You've called before. You're a communist, and you don't like it that I badmouth Van Jones, who, quote, wants a total redistribution of wealth. That means absolute death pits. That means absolute commissars in black uniforms and people in work brigades. And let me guess, that's what you're upset about?
It's not what I'm upset about.
Well, say it then.
I'm upset about the fact that you're joining with the neocons, and many of the guests you have on, you're joining with those who are opposing the world order, the IMF, the kinds of things that John Perkins is talking about, the people who are even on your side in exposing the inside job of 9/11, like another person who's on the COINTELPRO list even more than you are, Chavez of Venezuela, who has been attacked by the military-industrial CI complex, kidnapped, almost assassinated until millions of people rose up. So I'm just saying that you've got your feet in two camps. And
I appreciate your call. Yeah, this show isn't like a religious cult where everything is circumscript and, I wash my hands this way and I chant everything just right. I have John Perkins on, who I agree with a lot, but I disagree with him a lot, and I tell him on air I disagree with him. And I have people like Jerome Corsi on, Dr. Corsi, and I agree with him on some things, and I argue with him on others. It's a 4-hour radio show. I mean, I link to mainstream news all the time that I disagree with. From the phony left, the phony right, all points in between. And people always comment under the link, oh, look, he's got a Republican link. He's got a Democrat link. Oh, look, he's linked to Chavez's speech. He's a communist. He's linked to something Glenn Beck said. He supports Glenn Beck. And it's all straw man. Okay? I put out my info. You do what you want with it, John. Okay? I mean, it's crazy. We're not left. We're not right. We're for decentralization. We're for true liberty. We're for freedom. And I supported Chavez early on, defeating the North American Union's expansion into the South American, Central American free trade area of the Americas. But now he is arresting people. He is shutting down media. It's so childlike, John. I think the globalists running our country are bad. And then I think the socialists and communists are bad. I think government, big government's always bad. History shows that. Liberty and freedom is incredibly rare. Tyranny is incredibly popular. And I was talking about Oliver Stone coming out and making a worship fest about Hugo Chavez. But then, and I opposed the coup against Chavez. He's democratically elected, though he's trying to stand for life now. He's turning into Fidel Castro. I don't support Fidel Castro. Does that mean I support the right-wingers that are against him? No. See, I don't put these people up on pedestals. And so if I say I agree with them on this but not on that, I think Chavez is going in a bad direction, that's what I'm saying. I'm not in your left-right system. Now, I use the term left-right sometimes just to communicate because we're on all these AM and FM stations across the country. And people tuning in, here's an example. Every time I talk about pirate radio, I get scores of emails and calls going, you bastard son of a bitch. You are calling it pirate. It's not pirate. We, under the First Amendment, should be allowed to have micro FMs if we're not interfering. Yes, I pioneered back in the late 90s saying put them up nationwide. I support them. But when you get up and call them micros, 95% of people don't know what you're talking about. It's like if you're in Russia talking to Russian speakers, you don't speak Chinese to them.